This presentation provides the Skeletal System Increment demo for the Not a Clue team. Our team comprises 5 members, listed here with our respective team roles. The purpose of this demonstration is to prove the successful integration of the major subsystems within our architecture and show the data flow of information throughout our system. This will be done by the completion of a character selection process for the game Clueless. In the demonstration, 3 players, 2 on this screen and 1 from another device, will join the game, select their characters, and navigate to the game board. The key subsystems of our architecture, as described in the systems requirement document, are the players, the API, the graphical user interface, the server, and the database. Our model leverages Python Flask web framework to build the GUI and the API layers. The server runs on Socket.io, and the database chosen is MySQL. Listed on this chart is the team's vision for how these subsystems are defined and how they will interact during the gameplay. To prove the coordinated integration of these subsystems, messages will be sent across the various layers and the data will be visualized in the demonstration. When we talk about messages, we are using the course definition provided here. The key messages to be shown in the demonstration are the players selecting options on the GUI, the server processing GUI events and triggering API calls, the API receiving information from the server and storing processed data in the database, the API querying information from the database, and the API sending information to the server to be updated on the GUI. So moving on to the demonstration portion of our presentation. This is the application screen that is shown to the user as they join the game. It's a clue background with a play button. On the right hand side you can see the initialized database with 2 empty tables, one for characters and one for users. The first series of messages we'll show is the user interacting with the GUI by selecting the play button. This will trigger an event through the server to the API, which will process that event and bring them to the Clueless landing page. Here they've entered their username and this is now processed by the API, and that information is then sent in a message to the database, which in turn updates the user's table. One thing to note is that the player has not selected a character, so their characters table here is empty at this point. If they go ahead and choose one of these player buttons, you can see the information being displayed on the GUI, but also the character table in the database has been updated to include this information. This player is able to navigate and choose different players, which represents messages between the database, the API, and the server as well. We'll now go ahead and add a few more players and let them select their characters. You can see here that the player can try to engage a character already chosen. However, the API has a protection layer preventing them from doing so. The database has been updated and you can see now 2 entries in the characters table. Moving forward, we'll add a 3rd player from a 2nd device just to show that our server is capable of handling that. Their entrance into this page has been shown on the GUI and then also represented in the database as that information was passed from the API to the database. And finally, when the players are ready to start the game, they can simply hit the start button.